aired on YouTube on the Alabama Bass Trail TV YouTube page, will serve as the official meeting for the Logan Martin Alabama Bass Trail South Division Tournament. So we appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. I will be introducing you to Scott Dobbins a little later on in the video for him to go over your rules as well as the logistics portion of tonight's meeting. Again, I am Kay Donaldson. I am the director here at the Alabama Bass Trail, and I will be going over some things that as a first-time angler, you'll want to know. And if you've been with us for a few years, you probably already know this information, but I will go ahead and start. First, I would like to thank the City of Lincoln for having us this week. They are our host for this tournament. It will be the first time that we have gone out of Lincoln Landing. We're excited about getting to that new facility and want to thank the City of Lincoln for having the vision to complete this facility and bring it to the anglers of the state of Alabama. Also, I want to recognize Les Robinson with their Parks and Recreation Department. He is actually the project manager over at Lincoln Landing. He's who we've been working with throughout this process, and look forward to getting there on site Thursday and Friday, and then kicking off the Alabama Bass Trail South Division there on Saturday. A few things that you're going to need to know that will always be the same in every Alabama Bass Trail tournament leading up to the championship is now all of our meetings will go virtual for the 2022 season. They will always be on Monday at 6:30. They will air not only on Facebook Live, but also on our YouTube channel. And again, that is Alabama Bass Trail TV. So you can tune in there. And if you have friends that fish the Alabama Bass Trail that you know are not Facebook people, they don't tune into Facebook, you may want to let them know that they can also go to the Alabama Bass Trail TV YouTube channel. And this virtual meeting will also live there as well. So just make sure that that's always on Monday night at 6:30 prior to your tournament. So I do want to make sure that everyone tunes in. We go through all the logistics. We go through the rules that apply to each tournament. Tonight will be the only night that we go through some of the rules that are in the 2022 rules that you were emailed a few weeks ago. So just a reminder that this will be the only time we go through those. We will only go through rules that apply to each tournament, whether it be no wake zones, off limits fishing areas, and things like that. Before I get started, I'm sorry I have to visit this situation, but I'm going to go ahead and visit it now. Scott Dobbins and I are the only two full-time employees at the Alabama Bass Trail. We work Monday through Friday, and we work about 20 weekends a year. So I just want to remind you, when we give you a deadline, we tend to send you several emails to remind you of that deadline, as well as make several social media posts about the deadline. That's the deadline. And we're all grown people, and we should not have to call you, text you, and remind you 100 times to do what we've asked you to do. If you are supposed to put in paperwork by a certain date, we need you to put in that paperwork. If you are to pay your balance by a certain date, we need you to do that. We don't have the time to sit and call you and text you and handhold you. So we need you to do those things that we ask you to do. Again, we're only two people. We have 1,100 anglers, and we don't have time to take and email 145 of you who have not turned in your paperwork 2 days before the deadline. So please make sure that you do that. Also, while we're on the subject, I will also reiterate that, again, we do work Monday through Friday. We also work 20 weekends a year. So the time that we get to spend with our family is very precious to us. And we ask that you please respect that time. So please don't text us or call us prior to 7:30 a.m. As we are getting ready for work, and then also after 6 p.m. as we are enjoying our time with our family. There really aren't any fishing emergencies except on tournament days. And of course, our phones are on at 3 a.m. when we have tournaments, so feel free to call us on those days. But days that we are not on tournament, please do not call us before 7:30 a.m. Do not text message us before 7:30 a.m. and don't call us or text us after 6 p.m. You're welcome to email us. We'll get to you the next day when we start to work. But again, time with our family is just as precious as yours. This is something that we're pretty adamant about. You will have days that you get your text about your boat number, and you're going to want to let us know that you're coming by water or that you're fishing with an alternate. Certainly do that before the deadline, but please make sure that you take into consideration the time that we're spending with our families. All right, moving on. Emails. You should have received an email this morning at 10 a.m. It should have gone into your email box. It should have been from the Alabama Bass Trail Tournament Series, Logan Martin Tournament. If you are a Gmail email participant, if your email is at gmail.com, you may want to check your promotions folder as well as your spam folder. This week, as we did the Neely Henry tournament, we found that Gmail has now started sorting their emails and sending those into a promotion category because they do have advertisements on there, logos and photos. So they have decided among themselves to shift that over into the promotions folder. So if you did not receive your email this morning at 10 o'clock and you are a Gmail address holder, then you may want to check your promotions folder or your spam folder. It may be there. Mine actually went to my inbox and to my promotions folder, so yours may be set up to go the same way. But you will receive that email every Monday prior to your tournament at 10 a.m. It should have all the who, what, whens, and wheres and what to bring if we have a meeting, your fish size limits, your projected time of blast off, and the time of the first flight be due in. So please make sure that you're checking your email on Monday. Also, your boat number text. It will come to you on Thursday prior to your tournament at 7 p.m. Not Wednesday, not Tuesday, not Friday. It will come to you on Thursday at 7 p.m. I cannot tell you the number of people who ask me Wednesday night, when are they going to get their text message? It will come to you on Thursday night at 7 p.m. if we have a valid phone number for you. So please make sure that you have made all the corrections on email and all the corrections on cell phone. You should receive that text message at 7 p.m. before your tournament. It is going to give you your boat number, your flight number, and the time that you're due in, and it will specify the lake that we're discussing. That text message is extremely important as you come through boat check. You will need to show that to our workers at the boat check stop. That's how you'll get your key fob. Speaking of key fobs, this is your key fob. This is what it looks like. This is what it will always look like. It will not be green and white. It will not be red and white. It will not be orange and white. It will always look like this. It will always have a boat number on the back, on the bottom of it. That is your corresponding boat number to the text that you have in your hand. We will give you this. We will verify that this is the correct boat number. We will hand it to you. Once you get your fish at the end of the day, if you come in your flight 4 and you're due in at say 3:15, you will hand this to the bump seat along with your bag of fish. They will check you in on the iPad, and then we will weigh your fish when you get to the stage. You will not be allowed to weigh your fish without your key fob. So let me remind you, get your key fob before you bag your fish. Make sure you have it in your pocket or in your hand because you cannot go through the bump seat without your key fob. We did have a gentleman this week who left it in his boat. Doesn't seem like a big deal, except his boat was stranded several miles up the lake. He had an issue and it broke down. He had to get in a boat, go back to his boat, get his key fob to weigh his fish. All this does is prove that you came through boat check the way you were supposed to, and you went through all the guidelines. That is our checks and balance that someone did not skip boat check and did not get their live wells checked. We do have a reason for doing it the way we do. All right, alternates. I've had several people email me today asking how they can go in and declare their alternate. Unfortunately, they did not read the 3 emails we sent them prior to tonight stating that all alternates were due on January the 18th of 2022. We sent multiple emails. We did several Facebook posts about it. It's also included in the rules that are posted on our website and have been since July of last year. So there are no assigning alternates after January the 18th. We do that to ensure that everyone has the same amount of time, as well as they don't find out who called them the weekend before and assign that guy as their alternate. So that is why we do alternates ahead of time. Key fobs, I mentioned to you, will always look like this. It will always have our logo on it. It will always have a boat number on the bottom. Weigh-in bags, we use a white TH Marine weigh-in bag with a mesh bag inside of it. That is how we weigh our fish. Those are the bags you are required to use through our weigh-in system. Someone asked me the other day how they get their weigh-in bag. It's not something you can purchase. We only allow so many weigh-in bags out at one time. So you will come to the bag stand. It will be somewhere close to where the tanks and the big trailer is set up. We have a guy there. He administers you the bag. He also takes it from you when you come back. empties your water, and hands you your mesh bag for you to move on to the next tank. So please don't approach our weigh-in system with a bag that is different from our bags. We won't accept your fish. They do need to go into the Alabama Bass Trail weigh-in bags. One thing you also need to know is we do have the stiffest dead fish penalty in all of bass fishing. It is a 1 pound dead fish penalty, and you can only weigh one dead fish in our tournaments. So therefore, we do allow you to bring your fish to the scales 1 hour prior to official weigh-in time. Saturday will be 2:30. So the earliest we will bump your fish will be 1:30 on Saturday. That is always the case at every Alabama Bass Trail tournament. The scales do open 1 hour prior to official weigh-in time. And that is, we will bump your fish 1 hour before weigh-in time. Then we will weigh them. We will not bump your fish any earlier than 1 hour prior to time. Checks. A lot of people, especially if they're in the first flight, if they don't feel like they're in the winning first, second, or third place, then they'll go ahead and go home. All checks are paid out at the ramp, approximately 15 to 20 minutes after we get the polygraph completed. We do pay all checks at the ramp. However, we understand people have other things they need to do. If you choose to leave on a Saturday, we will mail your check on Monday. If it is a holiday like today, it will go in the mail on Tuesday. But we do pay everything at the ramp, so there's no need to ask that question. We always pay at the ramp. There's no need to come up to me and say, hey, Miss Kay, I'm leaving, just mail my check. I understand if you're not there at the end of the day, I will mail it on Monday. So just know that, I understand that, but please know that we do pay everything at the ramp, including the Garmin bonus, including the Big Fish bonus, including the Alabama Bass Trail gear bonus. So, all right, the next thing. Information. We pride ourselves on providing all of our anglers every piece of information they need to know to have a successful experience with the Alabama Bass Trail, from addresses for the boat ramps, addresses for the meeting places, the fish size, approximate blast off time, weigh-in times, where they can go to get information. We spend tons of time preparing the website, preparing these e-newsletters that we send to you. We give you lots of information. I encourage you and highly stress that you spend time reading those emails and visiting our website. There is a ton of information and a ton of questions that can be answered if you simply go to the website. It is our 24-hour customer service line. So please make sure you visit that, become familiar with that, figure out where to go to find your photos, figure out where to go to find the results, where the Angler of the Year is, and especially the rules. Please make sure that you have looked at those rules before you fish your first Alabama Bass Trail tournament. It is imperative, because when you call me, and I have said this, and I can assure you many anglers have heard it, my first question is, have you read your rules? And have you looked at your email that I sent you? Because all of the information, out of the 100 questions I got last Thursday and Friday, 99 of them could have been answered if they would have simply read their email or visited the website. I hate to be like that, but after 350 questions that could have been answered on the website, you kind of get that way. All right, those are the things that you can expect from us. I will remind you, we do have a live crew that will be on the water beginning around 7:30 Saturday morning. We will stay on the water till about 11:30. We will interview as many people as we can. They will have a list of boat numbers. They will pull up to you within 30 yards or so. They're going to ask you for your boat number. The only reason they're asking you for that is so they can look at their list. They can identify you to the people on live. They may say boat number 10, Kay Donaldson, Scott Dobbins. How long have you fished with us? How many have you got in the box? They're going to ask you 3 or 4 simple questions, and then they're going to back off and let you fish. Hopefully you were able to watch some of the live coverage that we had this past weekend. Very simple. They're going to stay with you 5-10 minutes. If things are going great, they may stay with you longer. If things are not going so great, you don't have a lot to say, they're going to move on and go to another team. The goal here is that we cover as many teams as we can. We have 225 out on the water. We'll have 10 or 12 cameras going. We'll have another 25 tracking devices on different boats so that we can easily find people to interview throughout the day. So we do have a live camera crew going on. We are shooting TV. We do ask that you be mindful of that as we pull up to you, because we are live when we get to you. Also, Friday night, when you come to the check-in, you should have received the email this morning that told you what time to be there. Please make sure that you bring a valid copy of your Alabama fishing license as well as your photo ID. We understand if you're under the age of 16 or over the age of 65, you do not have to have a fishing license, but we do prefer that you have some type of photo ID to let us know who you are, and so we can verify who you say you are. So please make sure you bring that. Also, we are making team photos Friday night. So if you have a jersey, if you're a Yamaha team member and you want to wear your Yamaha shirt, if you're a Phoenix team member and want to wear your Phoenix shirt, please do so. We will be taking your team photos. Those are the photos that show up when we do our live weigh-in. If someone is watching the live leaderboard, that is the photo that will show up. Last year, we had about 77,000 views of that page, so it is important that we like to have your photos up there, very similar to what you'll see on Bassmasters or any of the other bigger trails. So please make sure that you come dressed for that and ready for that. Bring your fishing license and driver's license, and we will get you checked in. We'll have several of our sponsors will be there, giving away swag and different things like that. So come at your designated time. Please don't come at 4:30 if you are a 6 o'clock person. We have enough going on with the 50 teams or so that we've got coming in. So please make sure you come at your appropriate time. All right, that's all I have on my list right now. We're going to bring Scott in. Scott is your tournament director. He is going to be the person you're going to call if you have questions regarding your rules, questions regarding safety, anything like that. Scott's going to be there. If you have a problem throughout the day, you're going to call Scott. He's at the boat ramp 99.9% of the time, and he's going to be the person that you're going to need to call. So we're going to welcome in Scott, and he's going to start going over your rules and your presentation for tonight.
Hey guys, again, my name is Scott Dobbins. I'm your tournament director, and let's talk a little bit about our rules. I'm not going to read these verbatim. You got them all sent to you. You signed something stating that you understand and accept these rules, but there are a few things that we want to highlight during our only and one meeting of the year, and we'll cover those tonight. It should take just a few minutes. When I finish up with the rules, I'll go back with Ms. Kay, ask her to make sure I didn't leave anything out that she wants covered. And then we'll move into our presentation and our tournament for this week on Logan Martin. The first thing I want to talk about is our protests. Protests must be made in writing within 15 minutes of the official closing scales at each tournament. And any written protest must be provided to the tournament director, myself, in writing within that said time period. If protest is not made in writing within that 15-minute time period, the contestant waives his or her right to submit a written protest. If you are protesting someone, they will get a copy of your protest, so be aware that they know who is making that protest as well. Okay, we'll move on. Section number 8 in our rules list. You may fish alone as a single person team. That is not a problem. Any person who refuses to voluntarily submit a polygraph exam will be disqualified from said event, and that is up to me as absolute discretion as your tournament director. Alternate partner must be assigned. Like Ms. Kay said, that deadline was January the 18th of 2022. Only alternates can only be used during the regular season tournaments and not during the championship. Only registered contestants, an alternate, or an approved observer may be in your boat on official tournament days. Alternate partners are only allowed in the boat during practice days of the tournament they will be participating in. And keep in mind, you can only use your alternate once. Section 10, Thursday and Friday prior to the tournament are considered official practice days. During official practice days, all tournament rules apply. Everything applies on official tournament practice days, and for regular ABT events, that's on Thursday and Friday prior to the tournament. Section 11. During official practice days and hours of competition, contestants may not purchase, barter, or solicit fishing information from any person or participate in the practice of hole sitting. That's common sense. Let's move on to section 12, safe boating. Safe boating must be observed at all times, fully zipped and clips fastened, U.S. Coast Guard approved personal flotation device anytime the combustion engine is in operation from boat check to weigh-in. All boats must be equipped with emergency ignition shutoff device, which must be securely attached to the driver's body anytime the combustion engine is in operation. The driver must be seated in the driver's seat anytime the combustion engine is engaged and in gear. All right, in the event of equipment failure, and this happened this past week, if there's equipment failure or emergency, obviously there's an emergency, the first thing you need to do is call for help, call 911, whatever the situation may be. If it's equipment failure, your next call or your first call should be to me. If it's after I'm already on stage, this week starting at 2:30, that call will need to go to Kay. But there are two different ways you can return to check-in. Both anglers remain in their boat and get towed by water, or with permission from myself or from Kay if I'm already on stage, we can give you permission to ride with another tournament contestant. One person stays with the boat, one person brings the fish, and the fish must be kept separate. Section 13, only artificial lures may be used. Only one fishing rod per angler. Resist the temptation. If you've got fish busting and schooling, you make a cast and they don't bite your fluke, resist the temptation to just lay that rod down and throw a spook out there. That fluke has to be in before you make another cast. Trolling with the combustion engine as a fishing method is prohibited. No long lining. We don't do that. Those tournaments where we are sight fishing, we need to make sure that all bass must be hooked inside the mouth to be counted as a legal fish, no snagging. And at no time should anyone leave their boat to land a fish. No Alabama rigs, of course. We're familiar with that already. Number 14 on our rules list, we need to make sure that we are outside of 50 yards from another competitor's boat, and make sure that we are staying out of any off limits or no fishing posted signs. That's self-explanatory. If you are caught fishing or witness fishing inside an area that is off limits or designated by no fishing by signs that are posted actively on that lake, obviously that is a DQ. Another thing we don't do is move bass from one area of the lake to another area in the lake. That is not permitted, whether it's in practice or competition days. As always, we do not lock through to any other body of water during ABT events. Make sure that your boat is properly equipped horsepower wise. If your boat is rated for a 250, don't try to come in with a 300. You should have a maximum horsepower rating sticker decal, which is Coast Guard regulations, on your boat already. No airboats or jet boats are permitted during official practice or competition days during ABT. High standards of sportsmanship, courtesy, safety, and conservation. Those are high points for us as always. And then the common sense stuff, no alcohol, mind-altering substances, any of those things are allowed during ABT events. We try real hard to represent the ABT in a positive light, and we would be very helpful to us if you would do that as well as an angler. Let's see. Trailering is not allowed. Now, sometimes we will do a trailered weigh-in, but trailering from a different ramp with fish in the boat, is not how we're going to do it. All contestants must come through the official checkpoint location in the morning before leaving to fish as well. There are only two of those checkpoints. One will be, and we'll look at this during our slide presentation here shortly for our Logan Martin event, but obviously we have a check-in station set up in the parking lot. There'll always be a flashing light on it, and Kay went over protocol with that. You'll pull up, our guys will be there. The person driving the truck, not the person in the boat, the person driving the truck will show the text with boat number to whoever's running the boat or the boat check station. They will verify your text. You will have two guys in the back, and one will be tying ribbon onto your trolling motor so that our TV folks can tell who's fishing the tournament. Another guy will be opening up your live wells to make check for empty live wells as well. The other place that you can check in is if you decide to come by water from a different ramp. We allow that at these events, and we'll go over protocol on how to let me know about that here shortly during the presentation. But there'll be a flashing light on the dock behind wherever it's designated for that particular tournament. You'll idle over. Same rules apply. You'll show your text. We'll verify it. He'll tie some ribbon on your trolling motor and check your live wells. Those are the only two places for official checkpoints. I'm not going to go over any of the scoring stuff. Those, obviously, you can read all that. Okay, cover the dead fish penalty. We understand how that goes. One thing I will reiterate there is we will not weigh a dead fish for a big fish prize. Let's see, 1 pound per minute. 1 pound per minute, deducted from your total weight, including big fish. If you're late, and any contestant more than 15 minutes late will forfeit that day's catch. Scales will close 30 minutes after the last flight is due in. If we are backed up and, we got a lot of folks who coming in last minute there and we got backed up, obviously that is my absolute and sole discretion to change the time of the scales closing. If we're, like I said, if we're behind, can't get caught up, that time may be extended. Or in the case that happened this past weekend, we got done a little bit early and all fobs were accounted for. We shut the scales down a few minutes early. Everything is listed in section 24 as to what happens in the situations of ties. And that's pretty much all I want to cover on the rules. I do want to talk about one more thing and just touch base again with reiterate what Ms. Kay said earlier about how we're going to do our weigh-in system. So when you're coming in, you get the bags that we provide. And those are the only bags that we use. We'll dump your fish, or you bring it back to the dump sink. We'll pull your mesh bag out, dump the water. You move into the tubs. Now we have got at least 3 guys in every tub. We've got it spaced with number of bags and how many tubs we've got out there for how many anglers we have per flight. So the spacing is proper. You have to listen to the guys. If they say scoot up, scoot up. We've got you spaced out as best we can. Nobody wants to be in anybody's hip pocket during COVID. Everybody understands that. But it's paramount that you listen to the guys, work in the stations, and listen to the directions that they're giving you. Like Ms. Kay said, it's a system, and if the system works, if everyone listens. But we got to get at least 3 people in the tank. You'll move up, they'll bump your fish back into the mesh, and then you'll move into the tubs in front of the bump sink, awaiting to go on stage. So when it's your turn to come on stage, myself or John will motion you up. You'll come in, you go into the little tub on stage, and then at that point, you won't touch fish again unless you are weighing a big fish or you got a good bag and we're taking your pictures. Other than that, John and myself will be handling that, and we'll move them off stage and get them back into our release trailer as quickly as possible. As always, ABT fish care is paramount to what we do, and our system works if everybody, follows along and does what's asked of you. And Ms. Kay, that's all I've got as far as the rules go. If I left out anything, we can touch on that. And if anybody has questions, obviously they can send us a Facebook message or check with us, at the meeting on Friday, whatever the case may be. We're at your discretion. Our email's available as well. But we're not going to stay on live tonight and, field 40 questions tonight. We've got all week to get that taken care of and reach out to us in one of those various forms, either by text message or an email during business hours.
Only 2 things I wanted to point out. Scott was very clear in covering the flagging tape. That changes at every event. So I just want you to know that every event you're going to have a different color flagging tape. And that flagging tape is used for, 1, the camera crew to be able to identify when we pull up on a team that they are actually fishing an Alabama Bass Trail event. There are multiple tournaments going on a body of water. So we need to just identify that this is an Alabama Bass Trail team before we go into 4 questions with them on live coverage. The other reason for that flagging tape is the 50-yard rule. There is a number of times that someone may come in front of you, and this will help you in determining whether or not this is a protest situation. There are times when you are fine with your buddy fishing, 50, 75 yards with you. If they come in and say, hey, man, you mind if I fish this stretch and go this way? You may say, yes, that's fine. But if someone comes in and maliciously pushes you up against the bank and they have that same flagging tape on there, that may be a situation where you're not okay with it. and that is a protestable offense. So I just want you to understand that we do change that ribbon. Every tournament, it's different. We do kind of ask you to take it off after the tournament so that we don't have to take it off the next tournament. But that is why we use that flagging tape. It is for your protection as well as a visible indicator for the team that's out on the water trying to bring live coverage to our fans. So this week we had a lot of great fans on live and a lot of comments and all that. So that was just the only two things I had to interject, Mr. Scott, and we can go ahead and get started with the logistics of the Logan Martin event.
All right, Chris, you can cue the presentation whenever you're ready. All right, guys, welcome to Logan Martin. Obviously, this is a very important number that you need to have in your phone. This is Chris Brown from EnglishChannel.com. He is doing all of our live feeds. He's setting your cameras. He's in charge of everybody who's coming with the camera boats. This is some information that you need to have in your phone at all times. Obviously, he's got a little code here you can scan with your phones to download all the contacts and information that you need there from Mr. Chris with EnglishChannel.com. Next slide. All right, guys, boat check will begin at 3:30 a.m. We check in by water at the flashing lights. Like I said before, we'll have somebody on one of the floating docks there behind our weigh-in stage and trailer there. There'll be a red flashing light. His name is Kevin. He does it every single time. He's got it down to just a nice little system there that you idle up, get everything taken care of, and move on. Safety first. Anytime your big motor is running, you must be wearing your PFD. Your kill switch tethers are to be worn when big motor is running and in gear. Please follow all posted water control signs and buoys. If you're ticketed, it equals a DQ. And PFDs are required at the dams. Guys, the signage at the dams is pretty clear, so make sure you are observing those rules as well. Blast off, as always, is at safe daylight. This week we have it listed as approximately 6:30 a.m. We know that we can see a little bit earlier than 6:30, and if everybody's in the water and we're ready to roll and there's no fog and I'm comfortable with what I can see, we might try to get out of there a little bit early. I think we blasted off at about 6:22, 6:23 this past week at Neely Henry. I would have felt comfortable going a little bit earlier than that, but the guys did not do a great job following the directions that we had given, covering how we wanted to blast off. And we had a ton of current and there were a lot of floaters as well. So I just wasn't comfortable going any earlier than we dismissed this past week. Hopefully this week we might can get out a few minutes ahead of schedule. First flight is due in at 2:30 on tournament day. When you arrive at boat check Saturday morning, we went over this before, the team member in the driver's seat needs to have a text message with their team's boat number open on their phone. That's where you'll pick up your fob, and you make sure that don't lose your fob. That key fob has to be turned in when you weigh in in order to weigh your team's fish. The guy who's handing you the fob will tell you when you can pull forward after we have tied on your flagging tape and checked your live wells. Next slide. We are a 12-inch largemouth and a 12-inch spotted bass. Size limit minimums on Logan Martin. The guy who is working our bump sink, his name is Mark. He runs the bump sink at every tournament. Don't come to me on stage and say he gave me a short fish penalty. I will side with Mark 100% of the time. He knows what he's doing. He will go over it. He will, if you've got questions and you ask him, he will check it again, but he is very thorough. What he says goes. I will back him 100% of the time. Again, 12-inch minimum on largemouth and spotted bass. All right, here's overhead of the new Lincoln Landing. These photos were taken last week, so it's about as current as we could get based on what we had to work at the time. You'll see that obviously construction is not completed, but they are doing the best that they can. And this slide will be look a little different when you get on site because, again, this was 2 weeks ago. They had great weather all week last week and got a lot more stuff done. So you see the little yellow arrows when you're coming in. That's on the east side of the boat ramp there. There's the biggest building you see right there in the parking lot where it says boat check will be set up right there. Do your pre-rigging while you're in line coming to the boat check. Once boat check is done, you'll progress around. There's only one way there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it may be is it 8-lane ramp, Miss Kay? I can't remember.
I think it's 10 actually.
Okay, 8 or 10. They were installing some lighting, actually in the concrete on the ramp, but I don't know if it got done prior to us getting there. If not, we'll have it coned off. But with that many 8 or 10 ramp lanes going there, we'll burn through this pretty quick. Always, guys, turn your lights off when you're backing in so you're not blinding the folks coming in or out. We'll have guys working there as well if you have questions or need help. If you're fishing solo and need somebody to back you in, we'll have guys on the ramp helping you there as well. Once your boat's in the water, follow the arrows coming out. We'll fill the first parking lot early. And the second slide we'll look at here in a minute, we'll show the other parking lot for overflow. Unless we'll have some golf carts running with the city of Lincoln there who will be assisting us getting folks back and forth from parking back to launch area. You'll see the red lines that are marking our off limits. It kind of runs from the point on the east side of the far east dock to that little cut. It's out about 50 yards or so, and then it goes back to the far west point past the smallest dock there. And that is kind of our, hey, this is where we're going to tie up. This is where we're going to park our boat, wear fish, all that jazz. Stay out of that area. That is marked as your off limits for this tournament. The blue rectangle on the concrete pad there is where our stage and release trailer will be set. And that's where we will walk up and weigh our fish with our bags. Okay, next slide. And here's the opposite area where you can see where I was talking about. It's just inverted, overflow parking. Once the first parking lot is full, I think they've got spots for well over 250 boats, so we should not have a problem there. I will have coned off a few spots up front for our blast off boat and camera boats that have to have access in and out. If you see a cone in a spot, please don't move it. It's there for a reason. Move on to the next available spot. As you're looking at this slide, I will probably station our water check-in guy, and I didn't put it on here because I wasn't sure which side I wanted to work on. But on the right side, which will actually be the west side, will probably be where I have Kevin with our water check-in. Regardless, it will be a red triangle flashing light. We had guys call last week that morning. Hey, I can't see. I don't know where to go to water check-in. It's the only flashing red light on the dock, guys. It'll be there. Don't call me. Don't call Kay. Look for it. It's there. Red flashing light. Pull up. He'll get you checked in. Now, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about where we're going to stage and how we're going to do our blast off boat. The river's a little wider here than it is at Neely Henry, so we have a little bit more space. Hopefully, we don't have quite as much current as we did last week, but we want to stage down towards the ramp area. Obviously, we don't want to jam up the ramp until everyone is in, but I'd like for everyone to stage on the ramp side of the river and on the west side. And what I'll do is we'll have our blast off boat. We'll have everybody on the west side of the blast off boat, and we'll leave the north side of the river open. So if you are going to go back upriver, you will come around the blast off boat. When your number is called, you'll circle around and then you'll go back upriver. Okay? You'll circle around. If you're going downriver, you'll just idle past the blast off boat, and once you're clear, you move on out. Okay? Now, for that to work, everybody can't be talking and jabbering and having a good time. Everybody's got to be listening. Robbie and myself will be on the blast off boat calling out the numbers. You have to listen, idle past, and give us a wave so that we know where we are. last time everybody's, not waving and letting us know. Robbie wants you to holler so that a lot of times he's got his eyes down looking at the list of names, and I'm trying to give you a wave so that I know you and I have made contact, whether it's with a wave or a scream. You're yelling to let us know, hey, 111, here I am. So that's how we'd like to do it. Please be vocal. It's loud in the mornings. You have to do it. Everybody's engine's running, so um, stay back. If you're boat 200, you shouldn't be right beside the blast off boat at 6:30. If you're first flight, you need to be close. If you're seventh flight, get back out of the way. Use common sense. When you get close to your number, then start working up. Again, if you're going south or downriver, you just ease past. Once you're past the blast off boat, give us a shout. You're free to go. If you're going back upriver, you're going to loop around the blast off boat to the north side of the river to run up. Okay. Next slide. Here's my phone number. You need to have this in your phone. In emergency situation, obviously you'll call 911 first. Then when it's safe, you'll call myself or Kay. Again, if it's after 2:30, you'll have to call Kay because I'll be on stage. 256-309-9852. Next slide. All right, very important. If you are coming by water or using an alternate, you need to make sure that you contact me via text message or email by Friday, 2/25/22 at 5 p.m. Okay, that's during our meeting time is the deadline. Okay, that phone number is 256-309-9852. You'll see me during the meeting. I'll be back there with all the fobs, and I'm pulling fobs and putting them in a little foam deal. We had some folks last week who tried to come by and pick up their fob at the meeting because they saw me mess with them. That's not what this is about. That deadline is there because I have to separate the fobs in advance to get the folks who are coming by water's fob down to the water. Okay. So I separate those by that deadline at 5 o'clock. That's when I'll start it. And I'll separate them, have them done. And we do this because obviously the fobs have to be separated. If you're coming by water and you didn't tell us and your fob is at boat check up in the parking lot, that's a problem. We ran into a situation this past week. The text message went out on Thursday at 7. And at the top of that text message, it's going to say ABT anglers do not respond or do not reply to that text. That's a whole separate system. That's message media that doesn't come to my phone. Somebody got their text message and said, okay, I'm boat 169. I'm coming by water. Well, I don't get that text message. That goes to a whole third party deal that sends out our text for groups that way. You have to text this number, 256-309-9852 by 5 o'clock on Friday if you're coming by water or you're using an alternate so that we can get that information either put in the computer or the fob separated. Well, you might be saying, well, why can't you just separate the fobs the next morning? Well, there's a lot of moving parts to it, guys. I have to submit a list of guys who are going to be coming by water to our TV folks, to Mr. Chris at Anglers Channel, because he has to put cameras on boats. And if I tell him that you're coming by water and you show up in the parking lot, well, guess what? Your camera's down at the water. So please follow the rules. And I know it's a little bit cumbersome from time to time, but again, we've got a lot of moving parts. We're not just running a fishing tournament. We're trying to make TV as well. And you have to follow these rules for everything to work cohesively. So again, your text message will come with your boat number at 7 o'clock on Thursday. Don't text me at 11:30 Thursday night and say I'm coming by water. Guys, use common sense. Use some common sense on that stuff. I got texts, at 8 o'clock on Friday night saying I want to come by water. Well, it's too late at that point. Okay. You've got from 7 o'clock when the text comes to 5 o'clock on Friday. I don't need the text at 3:30 in the morning on Friday morning, guys. Use common sense. Do it on normal hours. But let me know by text or email by that deadline at 5 so that we can get everything situated. I hope that's clear. Next slide. Your text should say this: boat 226, I'm using an alternate. Donaldson is fishing for Dobbins, or simple as boat 226, I'm coming by water. I don't necessarily have to have the names if you're coming by water. But if you're using an alternate, I need to know which angler the alternate is fishing for. Next slide. All right, questions, comments, or concerns? If something has popped up, I can't see the Facebook feed. Ms. Kay, if you're looking at it and something's come up right now, I can answer quick. If not, again, those questions and concerns need to come via text or email to myself or Kay during regular business hours between now and tournament time, and we'll get those answered for you. I believe that's all I've got as far as the presentation goes, Ms. Kay.
All right, I just want to cover a couple things. Scott, great job on that. If you're not familiar with how the Alabama Bass Trail measures fish, we measure fish mouth closed, tail fan to achieve the greatest length. Mark has been our bump stick guy for 6 years. As Scott said, he will back him 100%, so please know that. You may notice that we cover things several times in our presentation. Scott will go over them, I'll go over them. The reason is these are the things that we have the most issues with. These are the things we're questioned about the most. That's why we repeat them. That's why they're in your email. That's why they're in your in the presentation. That's why we post them on social media, because these are the things we have the most problems with. So if you think, oh, well, they're covering this 10 times, it's because it's the one that nobody listens to, and we try to hone in on what you need to know. Also, boat check. If you take 225 boats and it took us 1 minute to get you in the water, it would take us 3 hours and 45 minutes to get everybody in the water. And sometimes it takes just longer than a minute. So don't wait till 5:30 and get there and think, oh, they're going to get me in the water, because it's not going to happen. You're going to be sitting there waiting to get in the water while we're blasting off boats. We are not going to wait on 100 boats that wanted to show up because it was too cold. So just know that we get there early enough to get you in the water. If you get there in time to get in the water, we're certainly going to do that. But you need to know that it does take time to get everyone in the water and do it safely. So our guys are the best in the business, hands down. So please make sure that you get there in plenty of time to take care of that. Don't show up at 5:45. That will not help you. Then also the blast off boat. Scott went over the blast off boat. It's very important that you know you must go by the blast off boat in the morning to check out, and you must come back to the blast off boat that afternoon to check in. If you do not check in at the blast off boat and you're more than 15 minutes late, and we haven't checked you in, then your catch is disqualified. So you go out by the blast off boat and you come in and you shout your boat number to Justin on the blast off boat. He marks you in and marks you on time. If you're late, he will notify you then. Right then that you're late and how many minutes he has you recorded late, and that's how many pounds will be taken off of your weight. We understand you registered back in August for this event. We do know you're excited, as we are excited to have you at Logan Martin Lake and to kick off the South Division. We know adrenaline is running high. We know you're excited, as we are. We just hope you keep that in check and understand that we are expecting several inches of rain over the course of the next few days. There could be debris in the water. Please keep your head on a swivel, making sure that you're watching out for your fellow competitors as well as any trash that may be in the lake. We certainly don't want anyone injured. I will let you know if you do have an emergency, please dial 911 first and then call Scott or I if we can be of assistance. But we do know everyone is excited. We've been getting the text. We see people practicing. We know you're excited, and our team is excited to be there with you. So I just wanted to go over that. And the only other thing is we do have several people who are fishing that their last names may be Donaldson and Donaldson. And if you send in, hey, Donaldson, Terry's going to fish for Donaldson, that doesn't help us a lot. So if it is, let's say Pritchard and Pritchard, I know they're probably watching and they fish with us. So if Robbie or let us know which Pritchard they're fishing for, because that's important. It does come down to that sometimes. Those are the only things that I have, guys. Scott, great job on the presentation. Love those aerial photos. Excited to be at Lincoln to be able to kick off what I think might be their largest tournament so far at Lincoln Landing. So we're excited to be there. 225 teams signed up for this event. I did see James White ask, would the blast off be live streamed? Yes, sir. It will be live streamed, as well as 4 hours of live coverage on our YouTube channel, as well as Facebook Live and our website. So all of that will be live streamed. Guys, we're looking forward to it. Again, if you have changes, boat changes, email, cell phone, any of that, please email me at kay@alabamabasstrail.org, and that is KAY@alabamabasstrail.org. If you have questions regarding rules, any of the logistics that we went over, please email Scott at scott@alabamabasstrail.org, and he's happy to help you with that as well. Thank you so much for attending the meeting. Chris Brown said we had great numbers tonight, also on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for tuning in. We look forward to being there and taking care of your first Alabama Bass Trail Tournament of the 2022 season. And we'll see you at Logan Martin Lake in just a few days. Thank you so much.